What up, grinders? Here we are, a hip-hop, urban, and fashion channel with a strong emphasis on business, so it's only right that we tell y'all the story of Harlem's own Dapper Dan. If you ain't knowing, this is the guy who dressed all the celebrities in the 80s with custom Louis Vuitton and Gucci and other high-end fashion brands. He is arguably the reason from the 80s to now that urban hood kids still desire that Gucci belt and that backpack and all the other luxury goods that he put his spin on. So check out the man Dapper Dan, who has definitely been an inspiration to my brand, Grind. And hit us up in the comments and continue to like and subscribe to Grind Gazette, where we usually pocket watch it.
He's been one of the most sought-after designers and stylists for some of the biggest stars since the golden age of hip-hop. But not long ago, he was shunned by much of the industry. Now, Dapper Dan, headquartered in Harlem, is expanding his reach around the world. I got a chance to talk with him about his roots, his work, and his enduring influence.
Welcome to Harlem.
On the corner of couture and culture,
Harlem!
this is where Dapper Dan lives.
Yeah, I gotta promote the culture.
Adoration swarms this haberdasher from Harlem.
Thank you.
At 79 years young, he's showing no signs of slowing down.
How you doing, brother?
The man who brought the world luxury streetwear now says he's helping to create a new Harlem renaissance.
We need to bring that energy to Harlem. We need to just be a part of the steering body of culture around the world.
Dapper Dan went from peddling designer goods from the trunk of his car to building a brand. Some of the most iconic looks worn by the biggest entertainers from the golden age of hip-hop and beyond. Salt and Pepper, Bobby Brown, LL Cool J all sported his unauthorized spin on the designs of luxury brands, an untapped market to cater to his clients' swagger.
I didn't do knockoffs. I did knockups. A knockoff is like people go to Canal and they're looking for exact replicas. That's not what I did. I do what jazz musicians did in our culture. You know, we take things that already exist and fashion them into who we are. And that's what I did with the logos, you know. I say if Ralph Lauren can give you one horse, I'm gonna give you all the horses and I'm gonna give you herds. You know what I'm saying? Gucci gonna give you 2 G's, I'm gonna give you colorful G's.
It's been said he went from fashion industry pariah to Gucci god. And now one of his latest collaborations is with Gap, his line aptly called Dap. Puma is eager to partner too, with his bold style imprinted on Puma tracksuits and shoes.
And this is what we came up with. So we came up with a different pattern of logomania.
While the fashion industry now appears ready to give him his flowers, not long ago the very same industry tried to shut him down. But he's continued to reinvent himself by design. When did you really discover that fashion was your thing, that you had a flair for fashion?
Growing up, you know, we had holes in our shoes, and we used to take cardboard and put it in. We went into Goodwills, right? My brother said, okay, take off your shoes. You see some shoes? I said, yeah, I like them. There was like a mahogany color wingtips with the tassel. I'll never forget them. 3rd grade, never forget them. But when I wore them shoes, I was different. When I went to 125th Street, nobody knew that my building had rats and roaches and people peed in my hallway. They didn't know nothing about me. That's when I discovered the transformative power of fashion.
Born Daniel Day, his first hustle was shining shoes. But by 13 years old, his gambling prowess earned him a nickname that suits him well. How'd you start being called Dap?
I was given that name by a famous Harlem hustler. And his name was Dapper Dan. And one day he says to me, I'm not Dapper Dan no more. He said, tell everybody to call me Tenor Man Dan, but you're Dapper Dan, you know, because my skills exceeded his.
Inspired by a trip to Africa, he decided to place another bet, taking his winnings from gambling to finance the creation of his first clothing boutique in 1982, right in the heart of Harlem.
I was making luxury, silks and gators and crocodiles, and I'm catering to those people that I was most familiar with. So I had a gangster pimp clientele. The golden age of hip hop evolved from hip hop artists imitating what they saw in the gangster culture.
One day in Dap's shop, a well-known gangster pulled out a Louis Vuitton wallet.
And this pouch, this Louis Vuitton pouch, is not worth more than $5 worth of vinyl. I said, why are they so excited? I said, it's the symbols. And then it occurred to me, bingo, imagine if I can get all these people walking around looking like luggage, I can make more off that.
He went back to the books to learn about textile printing. Dap began to incorporate the logos of luxury houses like Fendi, Louis Vuitton, and Gucci, except his name would be on the tag. Word spread. The biggest names came at all hours of the day, making it into a 24-hour operation. Dap would sleep in the back of his store, never taking a day off. Those big luxury brands started to take note of his bold designs, like this infamous jacket made for Olympic sprinter Diane Dixon.
So when Mike Tyson came, had this big fight in my store, and then the brand started saying, who the hell is a Dapper Dan?
As media attention grew, in 1992, a lawsuit from Fendi would force Dap to close his store and go underground. Fast forward to 2017 on the Gucci catwalk, a revelation on the runway. Gucci would call it an homage to Dapper Dan's knock-up. And amid urging from Diane Dixon, Gucci's creative director at the time, Alessandro Michele, would partner with Dapper Dan on a new men's line, opening a new luxury store, Dapper Dan of Harlem.
The #1 designer came to Harlem and said, we believe in you. We want to do this thing with you. And we walked through Harlem. It was like a political campaign almost. We walked from our brownstone to the Apollo Theater. And when you look in the entourage, it's all brown and black people. And then you see the Gucci team, you know, the whole Gucci team embracing it.
Other brands like Puma and The Gap catching up to the fashion needs Dap long provided. Sherwin-Williams even enlisting him for a line of paint.
Usually we have to be them to succeed. We made it so that they had to be us to succeed. And so that's why you see every major brand has some of my influence in it.
His pieces featured in museums and donned by celebs at the Met Gala.
For too long, the fashion system has excluded black people while appropriating black culture.
After all these years, 30 years in the underground, they gave me the Joffrey Beam Award for fashion, which has never been accomplished by a black man.
This night has been so incredible.
Dap says no amount of success could lure him away from his beloved Harlem. Here he designs on his own terms. At his urging, Puma provided the space he calls the Pumatory to inspire and teach the next generation. He's now working to rebuild the designs he lost to collectors with that trademark reinvention.
I have to do it better than what they did. And so I recreated this using the museums, and I made it all in sequence.
Right.
I always have to knock it up. Remember, I don't do knockoffs, I do
knockups.
All the brands got Dapper Dan on their mood board. So people say, well, where's Dapper Dan's mood board? My mood board is the streets of Harlem. Come on, brother. Come on, brother. Come on, brother. How you doing, sister?
The style on these streets serve as his catwalk and inspiration.
I love the lady, she just said, thanks for staying with us.
Why are you gonna go somewhere else and try to build what we could build right here?
He takes us here to the Malcolm Shabazz African Market.
This is where all my inspiration comes from.
What are you looking for when you come?
Energy. So colorful, right?
This is a blessing seeing you right now. I'm a 90s baby, so I know you've been doing this a while.
Studying the styles and sensibilities of Africa, and then bringing his own twist and flavor to the streets of Harlem and around the globe.
How does it make you feel when you see right below the Puma brand, Dapper Dan? All you've been through.
Okay, it took me a while. You know, I told my friends, I said, listen, man, I can't believe what's happening. And if you pinch me and I wake up, I'm gonna kill you.
Our thanks to Dapper Dan for that conversation.